we're just getting started with this post-COVID global monetary expansion. The next 10 to 15 years, I think, are just going to be absolutely devastating on the currency, on those that don't understand what's happening, like those that really, again, the economically vulnerable, people living on fixed income, the poor, working class, people depending on currencies to hold their value are going to be most victimized in this era. And you're already seeing it, right? We're already seeing these crises breaking out. We've got Lebanon having a lot of issues currently, and it's just going to spread. I think that, so the network effects of alts, I mean, they're real in the sense that if we define a network effect as a non-linear benefit of a new network participant joining to all the existing participants. So for Ethereum, every developer they get, it's actually increasing the value of the total developer network. So network effects are real. And I would say maybe that's what upholds a lot of the value of alts today, but they're not. The network effects of money are much different in the sense that money is the ultimate open source network, right? Like if we use gold as the analogy, gold is valued the world over, right? And it's valued because everyone values it. And essentially what it represents is this monetary shelling point on those properties of money. So people that are seeking a way to store their wealth in something that's divisible, durable, recognizable, portable, scarce, the market has zeroed in on gold to best satisfy those functions. Bitcoin being disruptive to gold, it's establishing a set of network effects that, they're multi-sided. I've talked about this a little bit too, so if you consider a standard one-sided network effect, it could be something like the telephone or Facebook, where you just have one cohort of users, which are the people that own a telephone or the people that have a Facebook profile. There's also two-sided network effects. If you look at something like a two-sided market like eBay or Craigslist, where you have buyers and sellers adding incremental value to the network. And two-sided networks are more difficult to disrupt because an upstart network has to introduce a superior value prop for both buyers and sellers simultaneously to disrupt that network, versus Facebook disrupting MySpace only had to break a one-sided network effect, right? Bitcoin as money, digital money specifically, is really unique because it has a four-sided network effect. So we've got buyers, we've got sellers, we've got developers, and we have miners. And so to try and disrupt Bitcoin, you would have to somehow simultaneously introduce a value proposition for all four cohorts. And you would also have to do it in a way that was not a hard fork of Bitcoin, that was not trying to take advantage of its network effects. Because if you went that route, as Bitcoin Cash did in 2017, you basically are forking the social contract. So as a Bitcoin holder, your optimal strategy is to just hold, right? You just hold both tokens and see which one succeeds.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Now, clearly, I'm not saying people do that. A lot of people dump their Bitcoin Cash, but the point is that gives the network effects associated with Bitcoin a very inviolable network effect, if you will. It's very hard to break. So I don't think Bitcoin's going to benefit wildly from this inflation. I think it's the ultimate, I hate to call it a hedge against inflation because I think it's so much more than that, but it definitely is that. But these other, these altcoins, again, if they're nothing more, let's just assume hypothetically that none of them ever realize any substantial use case or find any real world utility. They could still have a lot of quote unquote value just as gambling devices, right? People pushing these narratives around, investing in them, based on pure speculation. So to get back to the question of how I would advise a friend, I tell people that the most conservative portfolio you can have in Bitcoin or in crypto, I guess you'd say, is 100% Bitcoin, 0% altcoins. That's the most conservative position. That's the position I currently hold as well. I'm 100% Bitcoin. I hold nothing else. I just don't see any risk-adjusted return in my mind that outweighs what Bitcoin represents. And most people I tell that to, they start to look at you cross-eyed for all these reasons we've laid out. They're like, what do you mean? Bitcoin's old tech, what about this Ethereum thing? Or I read this cool white paper, or I've done all my homework. I've really studied this project. I know it's going to be a big deal. They really want to fight for the narratives that they've been ingesting. And so I have a second answer. I'm like, okay, if you want to be very aggressive and assume, you have to enter this with the assumption that your alt allocation position could all go to zero. I say the most aggressive you could ever be in crypto is 80% Bitcoin, 20% alts. And I advise against it. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't see where any of these tokens on a risk-adjusted basis outperform Bitcoin whatsoever. I think most of them, the vast majority, will go to zero. But I've found that to be hopefully somewhat of a compromise for those that really want to hold on to the altcoin narratives, because they are very.
Do they listen to you though? Do they take your advice? Mine don't.
I guess the verdict is still out, right?
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.